Hi, I'm Sophina Jagot, and I'm going to be talking to you about AIM's Guide to Improving Access to High-Quality Volunteering. There's a supporting downloadable PDF that goes into more detail and includes workbook activities designed to guide you through the planning process. Now, volunteers make a significant operational and strategic contribution to the heritage sector. They bring skills, character, passion, and ingenuity to our individual museums, as well as the sector as a whole. However, as many know, the volunteering landscape is changing and the traditional entry routes no longer work for many. This is noticeable across the charity sector, but museums are uniquely placed to meet these changes head-on. For individuals, the opportunity to become involved in well-run, high-quality volunteering schemes not only develops skills, but it also connects them to their communities, builds confidence, and grows their networks. Lives become enriched and well-being is improved through volunteering opportunities that are structured to support the individuals involved. Back in 2023, the government announced the launch of a new fund that was aimed to tackle the issue of chronic loneliness and to encourage the growth of high-quality volunteering across England. The Know Your Neighbourhood Fund committed to spend up to £30 million in 27 disadvantaged areas, £5 million of which was earmarked for the arts, culture and heritage activities. AIM, as one of the grant delivery partners alongside Libraries Connected and Creative Lives, launched the Connected Communities Fund in that same year. The objectives of this fund were to help heritage organisations tackle chronic loneliness, develop and deliver high-quality volunteering, improve organisational relationships with local institutions and other partners who engaged in similar work. This success guide explores how to provide high-quality volunteering opportunities through museum and heritage-based programs, delivering quality outputs that will have a lasting impact. We will look at the definition of high-quality volunteering and what it means for your existing volunteer programs, help you to select the partner organisations best placed to support your work, explore how to maintain those initiatives long-term, demonstrate the benefit to your own organisational resilience, provide case studies to demonstrate best practice. What is high-quality volunteering? High-quality volunteering is a volunteering programme that has been consciously designed to overcome the barriers to volunteering, that provides an experience that is both thoughtful in its development and impactful in its delivery. Thoughtful development. High-quality volunteering looks at the experience from the perspective of the volunteer. It considers the additional commitments outside of the museum and to their own needs. This could be around access, so for example physical, intellectual and sensory, isolation, new parents or people who've been recently bereaved, or economic vulnerability, for example young people or those who are long-term unemployed. Thoughtful development means being proactive in consultation and planning, seeking to identify and understand the barriers to and requirements of volunteers. It seeks solutions and ways to overcome these barriers before it begins recruitment. Next, impactful delivery. Some people naturally take to volunteering while others find this really difficult, both lacking confidence and experience, particularly for those who experience chronic loneliness or social isolation. Impactful delivery means being proactive in championing and advocating for new, vulnerable and diverse voices within your volunteering team, listening to new volunteers and finding innovative ways to amplify their voice and provide positive experiences. By applying the twin aspects of thoughtful development and impactful delivery to the challenge of improving access to high-quality volunteering, we can develop volunteering programs that are reflective of individual needs. Understanding the barriers. In order to improve the access to high-quality volunteering, it's really important to first understand the barriers, which are as complex and varied as the volunteers themselves. The National Council for Voluntary Organisations named the following as the top 5 barriers to volunteering. 1. Having to make an ongoing commitment before starting. 2. Increased work, study or caring responsibilities. 3. Not being invited to volunteer, meaning people feeling uncertain of their welcome. 4. People being worried that they don't have the right skills or experience to help. And 5, they also worried that they would not fit in with other volunteers or staff. They found that concerns about skills and worries about not fitting in ranked higher on the list of concerns for global majority and disabled non-volunteers compared with white able-bodied volunteers. Previous negative experiences were also a barrier for these groups. The research showed that there's an appetite for volunteering, but the traditional volunteering roles and marketing were not relevant to prospective volunteers. They did not fit with how people could or would structure their time, and the routes in were not welcoming. Now, let's take a closer look at those barriers. Making an ongoing commitment before starting. Traditional forms of volunteering commitment work well for those who have plenty of spare time. Perhaps they've been able to retire or have limited caring or other responsibilities. They work less than those who are still in full or even part-time work or education, or for those who care for family members. For many involved in casual or 0 hours work, their hours can often be unreliable and structured commitment does not work with their existing responsibilities. Instead of asking for an ongoing or regular commitment, why not look at how you structure volunteer roles currently? Is there an opportunity to split them or create a double-up system so you have flexibility and cover should someone need to cancel quickly? How will you make people who can't commit regularly feel like a valued part of the team, even if their volunteering is less regular than others? This also feeds into your overall welcome for your volunteers. Next, increased work, study, or caring responsibilities. The calls on people's time outside of the museums are complex. For example, having multiple jobs, studying, and/or caring responsibilities. If your volunteering roles and structure don't reflect this huge shift in work and home culture, then it's going to be harder for you to attract new volunteers. Consider how you could create bite-sized volunteer opportunities or ones that could be done from home. Who would these roles appeal to, and how would you reach them? Not being sure of a welcome. There is no doubt that it can be intimidating to walk into a room full of strangers, and this is even more so for people from global majority backgrounds, people who are LGBTQIA+, or for those with disabilities or have a life-limiting condition. Consider who's not volunteering for you and where you might find them. This could involve working with a community partner and going outside of the building to meet people on their own grounds where they feel safest. Next, worrying about not having the right skills or experience to help. There can be an assumption that volunteering and heritage means you need to have specialist knowledge or a certain skill set. Do you make it clear that no previous experience is necessary in more than words on an advert? This could include creating short videos or blogs from existing volunteers who can share their experiences. Someone who's been excluded from traditional schooling may be hard to reach and feel nervous about fitting in. How will you reach them? Which organisations could help you overcome that barrier? If you're attending any careers or volunteer fairs, or perhaps going to community organisations, consider taking existing volunteers with you and ask them to speak about their experience. Personal stories go a long way to helping to overcome this barrier. Next, worrying about not fitting in. As our world becomes increasingly online and isolated, anxiety over social skills and fitting in will rise, particularly with vulnerable members of society. Consider how you make potential volunteers feel like part of the team and how you can accommodate differences in a way that respects the individual and creates workable solutions. Incentives to volunteering. The NCVO study also found that global majority non-volunteers and other individuals were much more likely to consider volunteering that benefited their career or their job prospects. This suggests that there is a demand for structured, high-quality volunteering that leaves individuals with new or transferable skills. The value of a quick and easy induction process was also appreciated. Non-volunteers named several incentives that would make them more likely to consider volunteering. The top 6 included: if I could be flexible with the time committed, if I could be flexible about the way I gave up my unpaid time, for example, do it from home, if the process for getting involved was easier and quicker, if I knew about what opportunities to give unpaid help were available, if someone asked me to get involved, and if I knew I could get any of my expenses paid. Using the findings from the AIM's Connected Communities Fund, we can also add a seventh incentive: if I felt supported and understood. Now let's take a closer look at these incentives. Firstly, if I had flexibility: the how, the where, and the what. As we've seen, not everyone has the time or space to volunteer traditionally. Does all volunteering really need to take place on site in your working hours? Consider micro-volunteering. This could include research, admin, collection care, insect trapping monitoring and IDs, writing, social media, visitor data and analysis, gardening, image banking, sharing front of house duties. Those are just a few, but should you consider creating a micro-volunteering culture, we recommend that you look at how you'll foster that feeling of being part of a team. You may find it necessary to change some of the established patterns of working to prevent micro-volunteers from slipping between the gaps of a regular volunteering program, and it may be necessary to change some of the established patterns of working. If it were easier and quicker to become involved. Take a few moments to review your induction process now. How simple is it currently for someone to become a volunteer? Do they have to fill in a complicated form online, or can they just drop in for a chat without committing? Is your volunteering handbook dozens of pages long, or are there alternatives in ways of learning, for example, short videos or a shadowing scheme? If I knew about the opportunities. When advising museums on how to reach those places that they don't usually reach, we often offer this piece of advice: get out of your building. How can you widen your reach beyond what you usually do? Take a closer look at your local community. If, for example, you're near a business district, fly other businesses with opportunities for micro-volunteering. Near a school, same principle, but create something for the book bags. Or perhaps ask the school if you can hire a table at the next fair and focus on offering micro-volunteering and skills development. For secondary schools, the requirement is often for more structured work and experience, but don't forget the Duke of Edinburgh schemes and careers fairs. What else is there around you in terms of charities seeking volunteers? Could you create a volunteering package with your local library, for example? Or perhaps religious houses or hospitals? That could allow you to share the costs and work involved in recruiting and supporting volunteers. You could hold volunteer mornings at different times of the days and weeks, and not just in your museum. Consider having a stall or renting a table at a local event or regular market. In reaching people who haven't previously considered volunteering, you might find that you need to venture out to the places they are. Next, if someone had asked me, how we communicate about our existing volunteers is hugely important in reaching potential new volunteers. Often the focus happens only during National Volunteers Week. Audit your social media and marketing around volunteering. How does it communicate the opportunities, the skills, and the benefits for individuals? Short films for social media and your website are both great ways of demonstrating that your volunteering program is high quality and open for all. Research other organisations and not just museums. This will help you better understand how they're positioning and promoting their volunteering programs. Use this information to help you inform your own plans. If I knew I could get any expenses paid. Costs associated with volunteering can be a real barrier for some people. As we're asking for an investment of their time and effort, it's only right that we offer some form of remuneration. Create a pot for volunteer expenses and make the process of claiming easy and discreet. People shouldn't have to ask for a form. Make sure everyone knows that this pot is there and how to claim it. Doing so puts all volunteers on the same level. No one should be made to feel different simply for claiming legitimate expenses. If I had felt supported and understood. There can be many reasons why people can feel reluctant to volunteer. If they struggle with isolation or chronic loneliness, with long-term illness or disability, or have experienced exclusion. These factors can negatively impact their self-confidence, leaving them feeling vulnerable, shy, or reluctant to risk not fitting in. Yet, these are exactly the people who would most benefit from volunteering and who we should be making the most effort to reach. Consider the culture of your organisation. Is it a place where people feel supported and understood? This really needs to be a top-down approach and can be supplemented with appropriate training. Do new volunteers have a sponsor or body within the existing team who can help them find their way with confidence and ease? Look at how you currently communicate with your existing volunteers. They are great advocates of your organisation. Speak to them individually and ask for their opinion on the systems in place. This will help you better understand about your current processes and how they work for people on the receiving end. These conversations will really help you to cultivate a workplace culture where individuals feel their needs are understood and supported. Planning your program. We've designed a review and planning phase to help you better understand what will work and how. Use these before you begin implementing any changes. It's more effective where possible to consider the program as a whole, not as separate processes. This holistic approach will lead to a volunteering program that is cohesive and structured to support everyone, including your delivery team. Audit the existing. Managing volunteers is a complex aspect of a successful museum service, requiring empathy, sensitivity, and time. If you don't have a structured volunteering process in place or haven't reviewed your process recently, take time to map out the journey. Define how you currently communicate your volunteer opportunities, how new volunteers are introduced, and everything down to the process of supporting someone who leaves volunteering. Going through this process allows you to better visualize the current volunteering experience. Given everything you now understand about barriers and incentives from this guide, how do you think the existing process works to fit modern volunteering patterns? What extra support is needed? Where are the gaps or complications? Capacity. A high-quality volunteering program will require the focused efforts of your whole team and, depending on the size of the program, a dedicated volunteer manager. Before you begin implementing any changes, allocate responsibility for aspects of the program. Does everyone understand the purpose? Are support systems in place? Has the appropriate training been undertaken by those involved? If you're the volunteer manager, be aware that delivering a program of this sort will take more of your time than previous iterations. Where can you place this within your existing responsibilities? Where will you need additional resources and support? Point of contact. Having a main point of contact to manage a volunteering process will help your volunteers feel supported. This will in turn help to remove some of the barriers and fear of fitting in that prevents many from taking up volunteering. It will also make it easier for people of different backgrounds to become volunteers on your projects. Consider a buddy or sponsor system. This buddy can show the ropes to the new volunteer, introduce them to others, and teach them about the role. There'll also be a point of contact if the volunteer is struggling, so you'll need to make sure the person selected has the right skills and training to support vulnerable people. For a new volunteer, particularly one who hasn't volunteered in a museum before, it's a lot less intimidating and provides continuity by having someone they're partnered with until they're feeling settled in. Safeguarding. The planning process is a good time to make sure your policies and procedures are up to date, particularly with this one. By improving access to high-quality volunteering, you could very well be supporting people who are extremely vulnerable. Use this time to check the policy, run through the procedures and refresh everyone's training to make sure both the new volunteers and the existing team are supported and safe throughout. Training. Developing a volunteering program that supports a wider range of people can expose your existing team to situations they've not experienced previously, particularly including co-volunteering with vulnerable people who need additional support. In this planning phase, consider the potential needs of any new volunteers and the existing skills and understanding of your team. If you will be partnering with a local charity, do they offer training that you can invest in for the whole team? Planning activity. In the associated downloadable PDF, you'll find a theory of change activity. This is designed to help you in the planning stage, using carefully chosen questions as prompts to guide you. The template has been developed with small to medium-sized museums in mind, who have a small team of staff and are supported by a larger team of volunteers. You can adapt the questions to suit your own organisation. Feel free to pause this video whilst you work through the activity. Co-production potential. Choosing the right partner to support the high-quality volunteering work you want to develop can significantly increase the success of your program. The right partner should have a deep understanding and practical experience of developing and delivering high-quality volunteering. They will be open to collaborative working, to sharing their experience and supportive of what you want to achieve. For the partner organisation, working with you can bring numerous benefits, including extending the reach of their activities, wider community advocacy, and new experiences for their participants. Building a relationship with a community partner will take time and should be approached with a mutual respect and understanding of timescales and capacity for commitment. For successful partnership working, we recommend the following points. Start the conversation early. Don't underestimate how long it can take for a partner organisation to come on board. Be clear about what you want to achieve. Establish each other's boundaries and role requirements at the start. Set up a partnership agreement so both parties understand the extent of their involvement, the timescales, and the costs. Meet regularly, both throughout planning and delivery, to review progress. Approach delivery in a flexible and adaptive manner for the best results. Remember that working in this collaborative way means that you're both approaching the project as equal partners, with skills, experience, and knowledge that can be beneficial to participants. Once you've developed your relationship, use it to carry out consultation with the audience that you want to support. This should be done in a setting that the participants are comfortable in and familiar with, so that may not be within the museum itself. Plan a fun activity, a talk, a workshop, whatever the partner organisation recommends, and include an opportunity for feedback during the session. The downloadable PDF has planning activities designed to support you in this stage of the co-production of your project, and that goes from the initial conversations to the post-delivery meeting. Pause the video now to do the activity. Sustaining the program. High-quality volunteering programs can be radically different to your pre-existing schemes, and this can bring an associated need for increased resources and funding. If it's your goal to increase access to high-quality volunteering and to improve organisation resilience, then it's really important to address the issue of programme sustainability at the planning stage. The following questions have been devised to prompt team thinking around this. We recommend working through the questions as a team and then adding any further that are relevant. Limit the questions to no more than 5 to start with. You can always revisit this further down the planning stage and add more if necessary. 1. Can this be factored into our regular volunteering programme? Establish capacity at the start to prevent overwhelming the delivery and support teams. Do you have the physical space to accommodate it and the supporting staff and/or volunteers? How does it fit within the matrix of your existing volunteering programme? Does it have senior management or board support and the budget allocation for it? 2. Who will have responsibility for maintaining the programme? Good volunteer management takes time, attention, and thoughtfulness. Be mindful of the risk of overloading individual team members. If this will be your responsibility, consider where you can delegate other tasks to free up your time. 3. How will this be funded in the long term? High-quality volunteering programs do have associated costs, and it can be difficult to get continuation funding from a grant provider. By using the evaluation findings to inform your advocacy, can you approach local businesses for sponsorship or hold fundraising drives? Can you and the community partners share some of the costs? It may be worth considering a one-off annual event where all the money raised goes directly to supporting the programme. Volunteers Week is in June, and that's a great opportunity to showcase the programme and its impact. An impact statement is also a great advocacy tool. When fundraising, always be clear on how the money will be used and the nature of the benefit to participants. For further fundraising advice, you can go to AIM's website and look at the Successful Fundraising at Museums guide. 4. What will the programme look like in 12 months' time? All successful programs shift and adapt in response to feedback from participants and partner organisations. You may not be able to sustain the program at its initial level, but could you do a scaled-back version in order to continue? Use evaluation to establish what worked and what didn't, where you're best to focus your energy and resources, and what can be put to one side until you have more funding to support it. Summary. Overall, the research is showing that there is an appetite for volunteering, and our programs can be adapted to reach those people. A healthy volunteering network not only supports sectoral and individual organisational resilience, but it leads to happier, more connected communities. When we're proactive in developing programs that support a wider range of people in volunteering, we create real, lasting, positive change. Now, we've come to the end of this session. You can download the associated PDF to get access to information and the worksheets. To find out more about the Association of Independent Museums and the work they do, go to www.aim-museums.co.uk. This script was authored by Tanya Collette. Thank you so much for listening.